It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to the research program conducted by the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka in association with Emerald Publishing and Gulf Medical University, UAE. This is the 12th webinar of the Writing Impactful Research Program. With a great respect, let me first welcome the main speaker of the session, Mr. Vishav Sharma, Regional Solution Consultant from the Clarivate Analytics Web of Science. Today, he is discussing on the EndNotes. With the gratitude, let me also welcome Professor Athula Gnanapala, Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, and Professor M.S.M. Aslam, Chairman of the Research and Publication Unit of the Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Then, with the gratitude, let me welcome our regional coordinators of this webinar. Dr. Jayantha N. Dewasiri, Senior Lecturer, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Ms. Sangeeta Menon, Publishing Relationship Manager, Emerald Publishing. Mr. Sudhir, Professor Sudhir Rana, Gulf Medical University, and Professor Kashif Said, Gift University, Pakistan. In fact, they supported a lot in making this program a great success. Then, with the gratitude, let me also welcome Mr. Disha Lakhanpal, Regional Marketing Manager, Emerald Publishing Group. Then, with a great respect, I would like to welcome all the distinguished participants from Emerald Publishing, Gulf Medical University, and Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Then, with the gratitude, let me also welcome the respected audience, mainly our academics from all the universities worldwide, senior professors, senior lecturers, students, and researchers are welcome to the program for making the session lively. Further, I would like to welcome the media partners of the program, Sunday Observer and Sunday Times Sri Lanka. At last but not least, I would like to introduce the main speakers of the program today. Vishav Sharma is Regional Solutions Consultant at Clarivate Analytics. With his strong expertise on the research solutions such as Web Science, EndNote, and JCR, Vishav has been instrumental in supporting the researchers and management at top research and academic institutions across the country. This includes top universities, CSIR labs, DST labs, ISRO labs, ICMR labs, IITs, IISCRs, etc. He has been a regular speaker at various forums on the best practices in scientific research discovery, analytics evaluation, and benchmarking. He also conducts the online Web of Science certificate series every year. He also has experience in the medical device industry and had the honor of working for organizations like Boston Scientific and Johnson & Johnson. Vishav did his chemical engineer from SLIET, Lanka, and completed his MBA from IIM Calcutta and had started his career with CICO Technologies and later Voltas Limited. Vishav is a keen sportsman and likes to play tennis. He is a state-level swimmer and now runs marathons. Thank you. Mr. Vishav, it is over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the lovely introduction. I'll quickly start. If any one of you can confirm, is my screen visible to all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what, give me a sec. So I'm switching off my webcam for a minute just to ensure that there's no issue with bandwidth. And I understand that the session today is on EndNote, but first I'll give you a very, very brief idea. Of course, it's not going to be a recap of what you've already learned on Web of Science, but just to tell you that EndNote, the product that I'm going to talk about today, is actually linked to Web of Science. So this, what you see on your screen right now is the Web of Science platform. We recently have undergone a change in the user interface. Web of Science earlier used to look like this, but starting yesterday, as you can see, all customers will be able to see the new interface starting 7th of July, which was yesterday. So the new interface has become a permanent feature starting from yesterday. So now the platform actually looks like this. This is the new Web of Science. Now, see, if you look at the top right corner of the Web of Science web page, here you would see all the products, right? Starting from Web of Science Classic, this is the old version, and then you have a list of all the products. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this list is because all the products are actually owned by Clarivate Analytics, which is the name of my organization. Hence, these products talk to one another. They're all related to one another. So what you should be doing is, there is a provision to sign in. As you can see, my name appears right on top. If your institution had access to Web of Science, you would actually see the option saying sign in. And when you click on sign in, there's an option to register. So we always recommend that you should register to all these products with exactly the same user ID and the same password, right? So Web of Science, I've already signed in with my name, with my user ID and password. And here is EndNote. I'm actually going to log out and show you how this all begins. So I'm just going to sign out just to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Now, talking of EndNote, EndNote is our reference management tool. And as it is common with every reference management tool, it has a desktop version as well as an online version, right? So there are two versions. Now, this is nothing new. This is common to all reference management tools. So now when you go to EndNote Online, now this link is basically going to take you to EndNote Online version. When you click on this, it will look something like this. This is the EndNote Online version, right? If you have not already registered, you can click on this register here and use exactly the same user ID and password. So I would recommend that if you are registering, please note down your user ID and password. Your user ID is usually your email address, right? And you can choose any password of your choice. Please note it down somewhere so that you know which email ID and which password to be used for all the other products, right? I've already done that, so let me just quickly sign in. Now, the good thing about EndNote is that it will not ask you to repeat this process again and again. Yeah, just give me a minute. EndNote, once or twice, if you do it, it will again, it will automatically log you into EndNote without the use of your user ID and password, provided you use the same laptop every time. Okay, just give me a minute. There you are. That's EndNote. Yeah, let me minimize the screen. Now here we go. This is the EndNote Online version, which you see right now on the screen. Now, what is unique about EndNote is, first of all, see, it's if you guys use your, if you guys have Outlook, which is the emailing system, usually on the official emailing system, it looks very similar to that. Now, on the left-hand side, you would see these references. Now, here again, it is very similar to your email account. It's just that the terminology changes. So if you are using EndNote, then very similar to an email account, you will not have any references here, right? Right now it is saying all my references 274, as you can read the number. In your case, if you are new to EndNote, it will be 0, right? So what you need to do, you need to bring in references, right? So first of all, we do not call these emails. These are not papers. We call them references. As you can see, the word being used here is references, right? So there are 274 references. And this is my EndNote library, right? So there's a slight difference in terminology. We do not call it inbox. We call it library. And we do not call these emails. We call them references. Okay. So I would say that there are 274 references in my library. Okay. All right. So the first question is, how do we get these references, right? How did I get these 274? Because see, you cannot work on EndNote unless you have a sizable number of references. So how did I get these references in the first place? There are many ways of getting references. If you have access to Web of Science, then you can just go to Web of Science like this. You can type in any keyword. For example, I'm using the keyword engine, and when I hit search, okay, just give me a minute. This session seems to have expired. Okay, I have got somewhere close to 2 lakh results, right? Now, what do I do? After going through all these papers, let's just say for a minute that I like the third paper and the fourth paper. So I just need to select these two. And what do? I go here and I go to export. When you click on export on Web of Science, you will see a whole lot of options. Right now, we're talking of EndNote Online. By the way, you also have an option to export directly to EndNote Desktop. Right now, we are focusing on the online version. So let's click on this. This page, this little window pops up automatically. This is basically asking you a few things before the export process starts. You have selected 2 records. Yes, we know that. Or you have an option of exporting all the records on page. By this, what we mean is all the records on the page in the background, right? So on Web of Science, typically it ranges from 10, 25 or 50, whatever settings you have. All as many number of papers would be then selected automatically. Or you can export to an extent of 500 pages in one go, right? Right now, I'm only going to stick to 2 papers, which I've already selected. And then it is asking me what kind of record content do I want to export. So right now it has automatically selected author, title and source information. There's a drop down, so I can select any one of these: author, title, source and abstract, or I can even select the full record. Let's go with author, title, source and abstract. Click and export. Let's see what happens. Okay, now if you remember, I had exported the third and the fourth paper, right? See what happens. Automatically on Web of Science, this little icon appears. It says EN. It simply means that these 2 papers are already exported. So next time when I get onto Web of Science, and if I come across these 2 papers, these little icons will also appear. These are just warning signs for me that, hey, don't export this paper again. It is already in your EndNote library, right? So that I don't create duplicates. Okay. Now let's get on to EndNote and see what has happened here. If you remember, we had seen 274 references earlier. Now I just exported 2 more references in front of you. So how do those 2 references come into EndNote? You just have to refresh the screen. This should become 276. There you go. There it is, 276. So I can build on my library. I can add papers from Web of Science. Let's just assume that if you do not have access to Web of Science, what else can you do? Well, you can go to any website, you can go to Google Scholar, you can go to any other web page, you can go to Emerald's website, and you can download any paper you want, right? What you basically need to do is, let me just show you my desktop. This is my desktop, right? I will create a folder here. Let me create a folder. Let me call this EndNote. All right. So once you can give it any name. I have just given it the name EndNote, right? So what you need to do is you can, no matter what site you're visiting, let's say you're on Google Scholar and you like a certain paper, you can download it from there and you can put that paper in this folder, right? Or if you already have some full text papers which are already saved on your laptop somewhere, you can bring all those papers here in this particular folder. All right. Basically, this folder consists of all the papers, irrespective of the source, right? We don't really say that only Web of Science papers can come into EndNote. That's not the case. You can bring it from just about anywhere. Once this folder has a certain number of papers, what you need to do, just go back to EndNote. This is the EndNote online version, and you go to collect. Now, what we've done is these, headings. These are very simple terms. Collect. You can automatically get an idea the moment you read this word collect. It means you're collecting references, right? So you can go to import references and choose a file. So once you click on this, it will browse and you can select anything. I had created a folder by the name of EndNote. So once you click on this and you click on open, of course this folder is empty right now. This was just for the sake of showing it to you. But once, let's say it has a number of papers, all those papers will come onto EndNote in one shot. All right. So I'm just going to cancel this. Yeah, and you can select the import option. You can go to EndNote import and you can select any of the groups. I will tell you what groups are in a bit. So that is how you collect papers. All right, let's go back to my references. Now, this is how you build your library. All right. For those of you who are using EndNote for the first time, you will see something known as the Getting Started Guide. This is what Getting Started Guide looks like. Getting started means you can find, you can store and share, and you can create. So these are the things you can do under find. This is what you can do in store and share, and this is what you can create. Now, if you really want to use EndNote to its full potential, you need to follow certain steps which I'm about to show you. You have to click on, under create, you have to click on the first option, Cite While You Write Plugin. I'll tell you what it means a little later, but first let's just click on this and see what happens. Cite While You Write Plugin. Click. And it says, it gives me two options, download Windows or download Macintosh. So by the way, we do not support Linux. So we have only two operating systems that are supported. So if you have a Windows machine, click on download Windows. If it's an Apple machine, click on download Macintosh. I've already done this and I've already installed it, right? Please remember, once it is downloaded and installed, you have to reboot your computer. Many times people come to us and say that, see, the plugin is not working. Do not forget to reboot or restart your computer. Unless you do that, anything that gets installed will not work. Okay. That was about the Cite While You Write plugin. I will talk about this a little later. Let's come back. So you can hide it. This was this Getting Started Guide. You can hide it from here. And these are your references. Now, let's focus on the left-hand side. Here, you have something known as unfiled. What is unfiled? I'll let you know in a bit. Here, you have some groups. Now, what exactly are these groups? It's very simple. The way you create a folder on your computer, these are nothing but folders, but on EndNote, we call it groups. All right. So how do you create a group? It's actually very simple. Just click on any paper. So these are all papers in my library, right? These are references. So you just need to go here, add to group, and these are the groups which are already existing in my library. See, you will see these exactly the same names here on the left hand side. You can see for yourself. These are the same names, all right, arranged alphabetically. Suppose you want to create a new group. What do? Go here and it says new group. Once you click on this, and you can give it any name, right? Groups have to be given a certain name. So let me give it a name. I'll give it my name, Vishav. All right, and I can click on OK. So all these three papers which have already been selected will automatically be allocated to the group named Vishav. All right, so let me click on OK, and you can see for yourselves. On the left hand side, here is a group named Vishav. Of course, all these groups are arranged alphabetically. So V is right here. And when I click on Vishav, like this, these are the three papers. There you go, right? So that is how you create groups. And this is how I have managed to create so many groups, right? And I've been able to allocate so many papers here. Allocating papers again is very simple. Just go to all my references. So irrespective of the number of groups, all the papers that you see here, all the references that you see here will always appear in my references. Yeah, just give me a minute. All right, sorry about that. So let's get started. Here we are. So how do you do this? Let's have a look. All my references, suppose these are all groups that are already created. I can select any random paper, for example this paper, and I can go here and click on, let's say I want to add it to this group named AIMS R. So when I click that, AIMS R currently has 2 papers. All right, if I click on AIMS R, this is the group which is already created. This will become 3. AIMS R is now 3, as you can see. Yeah, okay. Just give me a minute. There seems to be some issues with my bandwidth. Just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, hopefully there should be no problem now. Okay. So this is what you see. This is how you create groups and how you allocate all the references to these groups. Now, what exactly do we mean by unfiled? Now, these are the references which are already filed in various groups. As you can see, the number is very small. So all the references which do not belong to any group will be seen in unfiled, right? So out of 276, a few of them have been allocated to various groups, but the ones which do not get allocated will be seen in unfiled. So if you click on this, these are all the unfiled references, right? They do not belong to any group. This is the exact idea of a reference management tool. It manages your references. You can manage, you can put it in any group. The reason why we need so many groups is because, you know, at times researchers tend to work on 2 or 3 different research areas simultaneously, right? So you can create any number of groups of your choice, and you can actually allocate all these references, relevant references to the concerned groups, so that you don't waste any time. If you are looking for a certain paper, you just click on a certain group and the papers are there in front of you, right? Like this. Okay, that was about groups. In case if you you know, by mistake, if you delete any paper, for example, if you select this paper and if you click on delete by mistake, then what happens? You can go to trash. This is a safety feature. You can go to trash and you can retrieve those papers back. So if I click on trash, here are the papers which were deleted by me. I don't know whether it was a mistake or not, but if you feel it is a mistake, you can actually retrieve it back. So you can select a paper from here and you can add it to any of the groups. All right. So the paper will be removed from trash and it will go back to a group of your choice. Yeah, that is how you do it. So this was trash. Let's go back to references. Okay. Now, uh, let's go to one of the most interesting features of EndNote. Let's do that. Just give me a minute. Access. All right. Now, if you remember, I had spoken about the EndNote plugin, right? And the site value right plugin. Now, the time has come for me to show you how to use that plugin. See, EndNote is a reference management tool. It manages your references and it can actually be your best friend. It makes your life easy when it comes to writing papers. Now, mostly researchers prefer to write papers in Word. So here I have opened up a blank Word file. Let me quickly write a paper. Okay, so here we go. Site value right basically means you start writing your paper and you insert citations while you're writing the paper itself. You don't need to complete the paper and then you can start writing the citations. That is not how it happens. It is always better to start inserting citations simultaneously. So right now, for example, I've written only 2 paragraphs of my paper. Don't bother about the text of the of these paragraphs. Just focus on what I'm trying to do, right? So here we go. These are the 2 paragraphs I've managed to write. I am yet to write the remaining part of my paper. So now just remember one golden rule, and the rule is position of your cursor, right? Remember that. So this here, the cursor is placed here, right? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because many a times people make this mistake. They forget where the cursor is placed and then they start using the tool and it creates a lot of problems, right? And you will see that citations appear at the wrong place. So just be very, very careful about the position of your cursor. Suppose I want my citation to appear at this place, just before the word powerful. So I click here, and this is where the citation will appear now. So I've placed the cursor here before the word powerful. Now the next step is go here to, if you look at this ribbon at the top, these are the regular options in Microsoft Word, right? We all know this. We are all familiar with this. Do not go to references. Please don't do that. These are different references. If you remember, I had told you to install the site value right plugin. Now, what exactly is the plugin? Well, here, if you notice, there is an additional option of EndNote 20 after help. This is the plugin that I was talking about. This is just a new addition which EndNote has done to your existing Word file, right? So click on this and you see all these options. All right. Now, just go to this icon of the magnifying glass. Just click on this. It's actually very simple, and a little window pops up. Now, what do we see here? This is nothing but my EndNote library. In your case, when you click on this icon, this pop-up will appear, but this screen will be blank. And why is it blank in your case? Because you need to enter a keyword here. I can write engine, and I'm using this keyword because I know that there are a lot of papers in my library related to engine. So I can type engine, or I can type stem cells, because I know that there are a lot of papers related to stem cell as well in my library. And there you go. These are the papers related to stem cell, right? The reason why we want you to type a keyword here is because at times researchers work on 2 or 3 different research areas simultaneously. So we do not want to show you all the papers here with different subject, with different research areas. So you need to type your research area, right? And these are nothing but papers from your own EndNote library, which is why I was saying that if you want to use EndNote, you should first create your library. You should first bring in the papers, and I have shown you how to bring in the papers from various sources. So these are the papers within my EndNote library accumulated from various sources. I've clicked on stem cell. Suppose I'm writing a paper on stem cell. So these are the papers related to stem cell, right? Because the word stem cell, it is actually a keyword which is appearing somewhere within these papers. That is how the papers are shortlisted from my own library. Okay, let me click on the third paper. You can click on any paper. Suppose I want to use this paper, I want to cite this paper. So I click on this. This is the paper that I'm about to cite, and I click on insert. Like this. See what happens. Now, if you notice, two things have happened here. Number one, a citation has appeared here. That is what we mean by cite while you write. While you're writing, the citation can be inserted simultaneously. And number two, a reference is inserted automatically. I did not type this. If you notice, it's a very typical way of writing citations. There are a lot of commas, inverted commas, italics, right? So many different things. I don't need to memorize anything. This is the beauty of EndNote. Please never type in references manually. I have come across many many researchers who say that they type the references manually. Please never do that, because there is a big possibility that you may commit a mistake, right? So always use a tool like EndNote, or you can use any other reference management tool for that matter, but please never type the references manually. All right. So EndNote is actually a very intelligent tool. It will always give a certain amount of space, and then right now EndNote understands that my paper is ending after 2 paragraphs. So if you can see, there's some space given here, and then my reference is typed related to this citation. The same reference is typed here. Now let me show you this process one more time. I want to insert another citation. Maybe I'll place the cursor here. Right now, where is the cursor? It's right here. Let me bring the cursor here, just before the word document. So I click here, and the reference reaches here, right? Document. Now, let me enter another citation. So click. Now this time I'm going to insert multiple citations. So use the control key on your keyboard like this. Use the control key, 1, 2, 3. Okay. You're free to add more citations, right? That's okay. I've used 3 of them. Click on insert and see, it says 2 to 4. And if you notice, my references have been typed automatically. So do you see that my bibliography is slowly getting created without any effort, right? And it is getting created, so I can now continue to write the remaining part of my paper. I can just type, please don't focus on the text. This is just random typing on the keyboard. So I can continue to type something on my paper, remaining part of my paper. And then by the time you end your paper, by the time, let's say you've written 4 or 5 pages, you will realize that your bibliography appears at the end of all those 5 pages, right? So the bibliography is always appearing at the end of your paper. All right. At any stage, let's say if I want to insert another citation here before the word matching, let me show you one good thing about EndNote. I'm going to go here, insert, and I'm going to insert the same third citation, this one. So if you notice, one is appearing here and one is again appearing here, but it is being used only once in the references. It is not getting repeated here. So you can cite the same paper as many times, but in the references it appears only once. I hope you can appreciate that, right? Okay, now let's just say, let me give you another scenario. Suppose I realize that, okay, here I've inserted multiple citations. I've inserted 3 actually. Later on I realized that the citation number 3 was a mistake, this one. I realized that, oh, by mistake I've entered this was actually not required. Now I want to remove it. Again, it's very simple. Go here, edit and manage citations, click. This is citation number 1. 2 to 4, and then again 1. So 2 to 4 means this is number 2, this is number 3, and then number 4. So go to the citation number 3 and click on remove citation like this, and then click OK. And there you go. The numbering changes. It's now rearranged. So what was earlier at number 4 has now been promoted to number 3. Right? So this rearrangement happens automatically. You don't need to worry about it. Now comes the next step. So I hope you've understood how to insert citations and references. Then the next step is changing styles. Suppose you want to submit your paper to a certain journal, and the journal says, okay, we follow the APA style, APA 6th. But right now, what style are we using? We are using the IEEE style. So if you want to go to APA 6th, what do? Here we have style, and then there's a drop down. Click on the drop down and select the style of your choice. Suppose you want to go to APA 6th, no problem, APA 6th. Click and see what happens. Magic. Citations, all changing to APA 6th, and simultaneously all the references have also changed. Notice that the basic font of your paper has remained unchanged. It does not change. This style only impacts your citations and your references. It does not change anything else, right? Okay, so you can change to any style of your choice. You can choose APA. If the journal says no, we follow the Chicago 17th footnote. Okay, here is the Chicago style. This is Chicago. All right, you can choose Vancouver if you want. This is Vancouver, right? If they want IEEE, here's IEEE. Suppose you are looking for a style that is not within this list, then what do you do, right? It's actually very simple. The first option is select another style. So let me go here and click on select another style, and you see all these options, right? Right now we are displaying more than 7,000 styles, 7,119 styles, all free of cost, right? They're all arranged alphabetically, so it's not a problem for you. If you're looking for a certain style, the only condition is you should know the name of that style. As long as you know what style you're looking for, it's not a very big task to look for the style here in this list, because everything is arranged alphabetically. So you can scroll down, you can see all these styles are alphabetically. Suppose I was actually looking for, let's say, this style. Let's say, give me a minute. We have APA somewhere, just give me a minute. Yeah, here it is. We have the APA 6. Suppose I was looking for, let's say, APA 6 with full name. Suppose I was looking for this style. So here it is, and I can click on OK. So you just need to select your style and you click on OK. It starts, I'm not going to do it right now because I already have so many styles. But once you click on OK, that style starts appearing in your drop down, and then you can select that and change everything into that particular style, right? Okay, I hope this is understood. Now, one word of advice. While you are inserting citations and references, do not worry about the style which the journal wants. Please select a style of your choice which is numbered. For example, IEEE is a numbered style. You see these numbers 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Always select any style that is numbered. I'll tell you why. See, whenever you want to remove any reference or insert any reference, it becomes easier for you to see how many of them are there, right? So if you remember, I had removed one of the citations. Earlier it was 2 to 4, now it is 2 to 3. It is easy for me to understand that, okay, one has been removed and the numbering is now rearranged. Suppose the styles are displayed like this, where there is no number. And let's say you have 100 references, not 3, but let's say 100 references. Suppose you have to remove reference number 27. Even if you do it, you will not realize that the action has already happened, right? It is always better to stick to a numbered style, make whatever changes you want. Once you feel that your paper is complete in all respects, Then the last step is to change to your desired style, to the style which the journal wants. Okay, so that should be the last step. But while writing, remember, please select any of the numbered styles. For example, even Vancouver is a numbered style. See, again, you can see these numbers. Whenever you see numbers, it becomes easier for you to identify the citations and the references, and you can exactly know how many. Suppose you want to go to the 27th reference, you can easily reach the 27th reference if it is numbered like this, right? Okay, so this was about changing styles and writing and inserting citations and references. Let's just assume for a minute that now your paper is complete in all respects. Once a paper is complete, we call it a manuscript, right? So let's just say that you have your manuscript ready. Then what is the next step? Well, this is a very old question that people ask all the time, and it's actually a challenge which people face all the time, especially PhD students. And the challenge is where to publish. Suppose you have written your paper is complete in all respects. Now the next step is to find a journal where you might want to publish. How do you select a journal? Selecting a journal is a very, very big challenge, right? Uh, you have your research guides to look up to in this matter. They can guide you in this. You can take advice from various other researchers if you know any. You can even ask EndNote. EndNote can recommend journals to you. How does it happen? It's actually very simple. You click on match. Please remember this. It's match. Click and see what happens. Click on match, and here it says find the best fit journals for your manuscript, right? We are not saying best journal. We are using the word best fit. What this means is, see, if you're a PhD student, and let's just assume for a minute that you are writing the first paper of your life, right? Well, just the way it happens with little babies. When they start walking, the first step is not very confident, and they tend to fall and they make many mistakes while learning to walk. Similarly, when a researcher learns to write papers, and if he's writing the first paper of his life, the quality may not be very good, right? So if the researcher says that, if the PhD student says that, okay, let me target one of the best journals in my category, in my subject area, maybe the publication will never happen, right? Because this is the first paper of your life, so maybe the quality is not as good, or maybe not of the level which the journal expects, right? So do not publish in the best journal in your subject area. Please select the best fit journal, right? So EndNote understands this problem, and EndNote will look at the quality of your paper, and it will recommend journals which suit the quality of your paper, right? So that publication is easier to happen. So how does it work? First of all, it is powered by Web of Science. What we mean by this is all the journals which are recommended by EndNote, all these journals are already indexed on the Web of Science code collection, right? That is another benefit. We do not recommend any random journal, right? Any mediocre journal. The journal has to be already indexed in the Web of Science. Only those journals are recommended to you. The second thing, you have to enter your manuscript details. By details, we do not mean that you have to enter the full text of your paper. We would only require your paper's title and your paper's abstract. These are the only two things which EndNote wants from you. Okay. As an example, I have one paper with me. This is an unpublished paper from a friend, and I'm using this with his permission. So here is the paper's title, and here is that paper's abstract. Now, if you have a manuscript with you, which means a paper which is complete in all respects, then your paper will definitely have a title. It will definitely have an abstract. So just copy paste the title like this, enter it here, and copy paste the abstract. Just copy the abstract and paste it here. So I'm just doing a simple action of copy and paste, Control C and Control V, and then click on Find Journals. It cannot get simpler than this, right? Click and just see what happens. Okay, I'm just trying to increase the size so that everyone is able to view this clearly. Now, what has happened here is we are giving you 8 journal matches. All right, so EndNote has found 8 journals which match your paper, right? Okay, this number will be either 10 or less than 10. There's no point in recommending 100 journals to you or 200 journals to you. We do not want to flood you with options, because then the problem remains the same, where to publish. But now when you look at a small little list of, let's say, 8 or 10 journals, it becomes easier for you to shortlist where to publish. All right, the first option is always expanded. You see this little arrow, please minimize this. This is a default thing. We've already spoken to our technical team and we want this to be removed. So the first option is always expanded. Just click on this, it gets minimized. So here are the list of 8 journals which EndNote is recommending to you based on your title and your abstract. Okay, these are the 8 journals. From these 8 journals, how to choose where to publish? It's you have a lot of parameters which can help you. For example, math score. What do we mean by math score? As you scroll your mouse, you will see this good, and as you scroll, it gradually becomes fair. Now, what is math score? It is the extent of keyword match. This determines the discoverability of your paper if it gets published here, right? So if somebody enters a keyword, it will appear in this particular journal, and the chances of how where your paper will appear is entirely dependent on match score. So people usually prefer to publish in journals with higher match score, right? Okay. Then you can select impact factor. Now this, I don't think this word needs any introduction. It is a very well established parameter in the research community. Impact factor determines the quality of a journal, right? I hope all of you know this already, so I'm not going to repeat this. The current year impact factor, the latest impact factor that we have is for the year 2020. All right. Remember a few things about impact factor. Number one, impact factor should always be given to the third place of decimal. It should always be reported to the third place of decimal. And number two, the year should always be displayed alongside. See, I have seen many publisher websites. I have seen many journal websites where they do mention the impact factor, but they do not mention the year. If you come across any journal where they mention the impact factor but not the year, it means they're trying to hide something, right? Who knows, maybe that impact factor is 3 years old or 5 years old. So it is always recommended that year should always be mentioned. Okay. For these 8 journals, we are providing you all the impact factors, right? So you can decide where to publish. Normally people prefer journals of higher impact factor. So I noticed that this is probably the highest impact factor within this list, 6.832. So maybe this is the journal, right? Some people prefer to publish in open access. Here we realize that there are 2 journals which are open access because this is the open access symbol, right? So these 2 journals are open access. Why do people prefer to publish in open access? Because if you publish in open access, you are likely to receive more citations. And why is that? Because the paper is free of cost. People don't pay anything to read your paper, right? It is freely available, and hence the paper receives more citations. It is not behind a paywall. Okay, moving on. Then we have something known as similar article. What do we mean by this? This is actually a very, very helpful tool, especially for PhD students. This helps you in, getting published earlier than other journals. How does it, what do we mean by this? What, first of all, you see numbers here, zeros, 1, 2, 3, whatever number. Randomly, in your case, you can see different sort of numbers here. In my case, I'm seeing zeros most of the time. Here, for this journal, I see the number 2. So what do we mean by this? Please listen very carefully. It means there are two journals. I'm so sorry. There are two papers. There are two papers which are similar to your paper, and they're already published in this journal, right? What do we mean by one? There is one paper which is similar to your paper, similar, and it has already been published in this journal. So this is basic. What we understand is this is a probability factor. It means higher the number, higher is the probability that your paper may also get shortlisted and it may get published in this journal. The chances are slightly higher than the ones where you see lower numbers. But we are not saying that your paper will never get shortlisted in other journals. We are not saying that. We are just saying the probability of selection is slightly higher where you see these higher numbers. All right. And usually PhD scholars are in a hurry to get their papers published. If that is what you desire, then similar articles is your best friend, right? Higher the number, higher the probability. There is no guarantee in publishing. Remember that. All right. Now, we have a lot of parameters here: match score, impact factor, open access, and similar articles. You will never get all the parameters in one journal. So these are basically names of journals. As you can see here in this list, I do not get all the parameters in one journal, right? So I have to make compromises here and there. For example, if I'm a person who really focuses on impact factor, then it is this journal 6.832. This is the journal where I should publish. Here I'm making a compromise on match score. This journal is not open access and there are no similar articles. But if this is my choice, then I'm free to publish here. I'm free to submit my paper to this journal, and we will never stop you from doing that. If you want to publish in open access, then these are the two journals. How do you shortlist? See, this journal has impact factor of 5.923 and the other one has 5.443. So this is slightly higher. And as a matter of fact, you also have a better match score here. So obviously this becomes your first choice. There are some people who want to get published sooner. So this similar articles will decide that. Higher the number, more are the chances. So this is the highest number in this list, 2. So maybe I should publish here, but I'm compromising on impact factor 3.272, whereas I see other journals having higher impact factor, right? So I'm making a compromise and I'm gaining on another parameter, which is why we always say that this is as far as we can take you. After this, it's up to you. After this, you're on your own. You have to decide where you want to publish. There is no right or wrong answer. It's up to you to decide which journal you choose, right? I may like this journal because of higher impact factor, but someone else may choose this journal because it is open access, whereas a third person may choose this because of similar article. So it's entirely up to the user which journal they select. But I hope you understand that you can select only one journal at a time. You cannot submit your paper to more than one journal at a time. That's not allowed, right? So you have to decide which is your first choice. In case you face a rejection, you should be prepared with your second choice and then your third choice, right? Suppose this is my first choice. I want to publish in this journal. Then what is the next step? The next step is submission. How do I submit to this journal? It's actually very simple. Scroll to the right and EndNote gives you a direct submit option. You can directly submit your paper to this particular journal. In fact, if you choose any other journal, there's a direct submitting option for all the choices that we are showing you. So no matter which journal you choose, you have the flexibility to submit to that particular journal of your choice, because submit icons are there for all the options. All right, but don't be too happy. Submit does not means it does not mean acceptance, right? There's a vast difference. You can submit anything, but acceptance will entirely depend on the journal where you're submitting, right? And the peer review committee of that particular journal. So it's entirely dependent on them. So see, we do not control any journal. We are technically not a publisher at all, because Clarivate does not publish anything, right? We index good quality journals from other publishers. So we are displaying this list for you. After this, you're on your own. You click on this link and we take you to the journal's web page. And after that, you're on your own. You then, you know, if the journal says that you have to register and log in, you have to follow their instructions. Whatever they say, you have to follow their instructions. We cannot help you hereafter. Now, what is the benefit here? There are a lot of benefits actually. Benefit number one, all these journals are already indexed on Web of Science, which means if your paper ultimately gets selected and it gets published in this particular, in any of these journals, your paper will be visible on the Web of Science, right? This is the answer to many questions which people raise. At least I have faced this question at least 1,000 times, where researchers come to me and say that we have published, let's say, you know, I can quote this example. A researcher walked up to me and said that, you know, he has published roughly 100 papers, but only 75 were visible on Web of Science. Where are the remaining 25 papers? Well, as long as you submit your paper, you know, get your papers published in journals that are indexed on Web of Science, your papers will be visible on Web of Science. If you publish in any journal outside of our indexing, it will not be visible on Web of Science. So the remaining 25 papers were actually published in journals that were not indexed on Web of Science. Suppose you publish your paper in a let's say a mediocre quality journal which is not indexed on Web of Science, then it will not be visible on Web of Science, right? So this process ensures that your paper becomes visible on Web of Science if it gets published. That was benefit number one. What is the other benefit? I'm sure you would have heard of, you know, the menace of predatory journals, right? What are predatory journals? These are fake journals. Any journal that becomes popular is imitated, and there are fake websites. Actually, there are no fake journals. There are only fake websites. So what you need to be very careful about is not to reach a fake website. Now, if you go to a particular journal's website through Google, if you type the journal's name, for example, if I select this name and if I copy paste it on Google and if I hit search, there are chances that I may reach the correct website. There are chances that I may reach a fake website created by in the same name, right? So and you know, these days these fake websites, these predatory websites, these people are so good that they create these fake websites. The look and feel of these websites is actually quite impressive, right? And anyone can get fooled. So if you click on these submit icons, we will always take you to the correct website. We will never take you to a predatory website. Our algorithm is designed in a way that we always help you in reaching the correct website. It's like a taxi driver who takes you to the right destination, right? Okay, so this was the other benefit. You stay away from predatory journals if you follow this step, and if you submit through EndNote, we will take you to a particular website, but that website will always be the genuine website. It will never be a predatory website. All right, so this is one of the excellent features of EndNote Online. And just to tell you one more thing which I forgot to say initially, if I go to my references, you have already seen that I have 276 references in my library. Well, there's a limit. I can have, you know, the memory size is 2 GB. So you, if you create an account on EndNote Online, each one of you gets 2 GB of free memory space on the cloud, right? And it is not dependent on the IP. unlike Web of Science. Web of Science is IP dependent, which means if your institution subscribes to Web of Science, you can only use it from the IP range of your institution. Or another scenario these days is if we enable roaming access. Because of the pandemic, people are working from home these days, so we have already enabled that process, right? But Web of Science is IP dependent, whereas EndNote is not dependent on the IP, which means once you create an account on EndNote, it is free for life, but the memory remains at 2 GB, right? All right, so let's look at another feature of EndNote. In fact, let's look at another product, not feature. This is the EndNote desktop version. Now, did you notice something? Look at my references, all the references. The number is 276, and let me toggle to EndNote Online. In online version, it is also 276. So basically, what you notice is that these are mirror images of one another. Right now, what you're looking at is the latest version of the EndNote desktop. This is the latest EndNote desktop, which is called EndNote 20. Right? Earlier we had EndNote X9. Before that, it was X8. What we mean by X is actually the Roman number 10. Right? So X9 would mean 19, and right now we have EndNote 20. This is the latest version of EndNote desktop, right? We are giving away 1 month of free trial. If you want, you can use that, and if you like it, you can purchase EndNote. There's again a big difference between EndNote and Web of Science. Web of Science only has institutional access, which means only your institution can subscribe to Web of Science. But EndNote, there is no such restriction. Let me quickly open up the web page of EndNote. This is the website, endnote.com. It's actually very simple, endnote.com. And you can easily, if you scroll to the end of the screen, you can easily contact us, and you can, easily start your 30-day free trial, and we have special discount for students as well. If you're a student, you will get extra discount as well. Yeah, and EndNote desktop free trial can be activated for a period of 30 days. It's entirely up to you if you want to try it. All right. Okay, coming back to the desktop version. Now, what happens is basically, if you really want to use the EndNote desktop version, I will highlight the differences between online and the desktop, right? But before I do that, you should understand how this works. Now, there is a master account which gets created on the cloud, right? And what you see right now is the EndNote desktop version, and you've already seen EndNote Online. These two things, EndNote Online and EndNote Desktop, they are mirror images of the account which exists on the cloud, right? So if I, let's say, delete a certain reference, it will eventually get deleted from the cloud as well. And once it gets deleted from the cloud, it gets deleted from the online version also, because online is a mirror image of the cloud, right? What is the benefit of having the account on the cloud? That is another question that many people ask. Well, the benefit is, suppose, let's say you have, let's say 2000 references. Right now this is 276. Imagine that this is 2000, right? And which are stored on your desktop. Suppose your desktop gets corrupted, or if there's some virus, or if it gets stolen, anything, right? And you lose your EndNote account, then it means you have lost all the 2000 references, right? So what do? Once you get another laptop, you can install EndNote again, and you click on sync. I will show you where sync is. Once you click on sync, everything comes back to your EndNote account. Yeah, that's quite simple. So you can easily do that. So this is sync status. Right now it is syncing, and this is it. The other benefit is you get unlimited memory space on the cloud if you have the desktop version. So that's one big difference from the online version, because on online you have only 2 GB of memory space, but on the desktop you have unlimited memory space. You can see this sync details. This is when it was synced, right? I have 281 references, 43 groups, 2 group sets, etc., 86 attachments. This is my email ID. All the details are there. These are the limits. Please read this. I can have as many as, how many are these? Okay, 1 million references. Out of 1 million references, I already have 276, which means I can add these many references more. These many can still be added, right? I can create as many as 5,000 groups on the desktop version, which means I can still add 4957 groups, right? Group sets, again 5,000. I can still add 4998 because there are only 2 group sets. And look at this. Attachment storage is unlimited. Please read this very carefully. It is unlimited. You can attach as many references. There's no problem at all. It is unlimited. Okay, let's go back to references. All right. Okay, so let's start. Here, if you notice, it's more or less the same thing. Unfiled, trash. What else you see? My groups. This is very similar to what you've already seen on the online version. Here, whereas you will see some differences as well, right? Let me toggle to the online version. Where's the online? Here it is. So these are the groups which I have of the online version. You will notice that there are some new groups here in the desktop. Why are there new groups? It's very simple. I'll show you. Go to groups and see what you get here. Create group, create smart group, and create groups. What are these 3 things? Create group is basically very simple. You can create any group. It's a simple group. The way you could create a group on the online version, you go here. This is the online version. You go here and you can scroll down and you can create a new group. It's very simple. It's exactly the same thing on the desktop. You can go here and you can create a group. What is different on the desktop is create smart groups and create from groups. These are the 2 new things which are there on the desktop version. And what are these? These are actually very useful features. How do we use this? It's very simple. Let's click on create smart groups. When you click on this, first of all, EndNote will say that you have to give it some name. So you can give it any name of your choice. You can delete this and you can give it any name, right? Suppose I give it the name VS, my initials, right? You can give it an instruction, and instructions can be given like this. For example, let's say I'm working on stem cells. Okay, so I want that the keyword in the paper, keyword should contain the word stem cell. If any paper contains stem cell as a keyword, it should automatically come to the group named VS, right? You don't have to allocate papers to certain groups. This allocation will happen automatically. EndNote will do it. You don't have to bother about it. You just have to bring the paper to EndNote. That's it. Once the paper is on the EndNote desktop, allocation to various groups will happen automatically, provided it is a smart group. In smart group, you give various instructions. For example, here I've given this instruction. I'm repeating. If the keyword contains stem cell, let's see what happens. Let's click on, you can give multiple instructions, by the way. You can use these operators and or and not, and you can say, let's say, when was it published, or maybe who's the publisher. You can select so many things here, right? There's so many things that you can select, and you can give any kind of condition, and you can create a group according to that. I'm not giving any more conditions. Let me click on create. Let's see, stem cell. Okay, here is a group, here is a smart group VS, and suddenly I see that there are 37 papers here in this group. How come there are 37 papers? Because all these papers have stem cell somewhere in there, right? And that is how the allocation is done. If I go to all my references, if you want to allocate any paper to a certain group, it's quite simple. You click and you drag and drop. Click, and if I just keep the left click of my mouse, if I keep using that, if I keep on pressing it, I can actually drag it and drop it in any group. So this paper, I'm going to drop it in the first group named ABCD. So I'm dropping it here. This 3 should become 4. I'm dropping it. I'm releasing the left click of my mouse, and there you go. It becomes 4. So adding papers to certain groups these groups becomes so easy. Just go to all references. You can click and you can drag and you can drop on any group. You can drop it anywhere, right? Okay. So that was about groups. I've already spoken about the smart group. So this becomes very, very easy for you to manage your library, right? You can give it any sort of instruction. Then you can create from groups. What do we mean by that? Suppose you are working on 2 different areas and you want to find the correlation between these 2 different research areas. For example, let's say your research area is, let's say, yoga, right? And another area of research happens to be asthma, right? You want to see, now suppose you create a group on yoga, right? So imagine that there's a group called yoga here, which has, let's say, 10 or maybe 15 references. And then there's another group by the name of asthma, which has, let's say, 20 to 30 references. Now you want to find out what is the correlation between these 2. Is yoga related to asthma in any way? Does yoga help in relieving you from asthma in any way? Well, is there any paper which talks about yoga as well as talks about asthma? Well, you can easily find that out if you go to groups and create from groups. So here, when you click on this, again, we will ask you to give it any name. But if you notice, the next step means select a group. It says select a group. I already have created so many groups. Click on the drop down, and these are nothing but groups that already exist in my library. So you can select any of the groups. If you have yoga as one of the groups here, you can select that, and then you can click on and. You make sure you select the correct operator, use and as an operator, and then next time you can select asthma, right? I can show you an example. Let's call this group, I have to give it a different name. Okay, let's call it VS1. VS1, yeah. Let me find out if there's any correlation between, okay, this will not scroll, so I have to close it. Let's see if there's any correlation between, let's say, VS and stem cells smart. Let's see if there's any correlation between these 2, right? So go here, groups, calling it VS1, and let's go to VS, and the next group with AND operator should be stem cell smart. Okay, and let's click on create. Okay, 37 papers are common between these 2 groups. Actually, this group VS again had stem cells, so that is the reason why it's showing me exactly the same number, because VS was also created with stem cell as a keyword, right? So you can actually edit this, and you can edit group, and you can choose maybe a different thing, right? You can select maybe let's say hydraulics, and see what happens. 3 papers are common, right? So you can decide on anything. It's up to you how you want to go around with it. So these are different kind of groups. Okay, is it really making sense? I hope everyone is with me. Let's take a pause in between, and may I request Disha to please read out if there's any question.
There are a lot of questions, so we could.
Okay.
Yeah. So now
All
the first
right.
question is, I'll carry on. So is EndNote something same as the online version of Zotero?
Well, answer is both yes and no. I'll tell you why. See, it yes, because yes, it is an online version, and there are many other online reference management tools like Zotero, like Mendeley, like RefWorks. There's so many other reference management tools in the market, and they all operate in the same manner. All these reference management tools have an online version, and they also have a desktop version. It's very typical with every reference management tool. So yes, it is. Zotero also has an online version. The difference is in the features. Let me quickly go to EndNote Online. This is EndNote Online right now on the screen. The difference is amongst the features, right? How do you create groups? What is the method of creating groups, and how to collect references from other places, or if there's any full text paper stored on your laptop, how do you collect that and bring it to your EndNote library? And this is a unique feature. I can guarantee this. If anyone who's using Zotero, please go to the online version of Zotero and check for yourself. You will never find this match feature. This is quite unique. And the beauty of EndNote is, see, I've already mentioned this earlier. I'm only repeating myself. We are not a publisher. So we are a completely publisher neutral organization. So when you go to match, and when EndNote recommends a list of journals to you, in the example that I had shown you, we saw a list of 8 journals. Those 8 journals do not come from a single publisher. They are all from different publishers. Just to highlight that we are a publisher neutral organization, right? But this match feature you will not find it on Zotero or on Mendeley or on any other reference management tool, right? Then the way you insert citations and references, we've already seen this part, right? This screen. The way of entering citations and references is completely different on EndNote and on Zotero. I've tried both the platforms, and I can tell you there's a difference in the way you do things, right? There will be a difference in the number of styles that you have. When you click on add another style, we have 7119 styles. Actually, I had installed EndNote on my laptop about a year ago. So a year ago, we had about 7119 styles. I'm assuming that by now our people would have added a lot, maybe more styles to this. So this number would definitely have increased. I don't really have the correct number, but it's definitely more than 7119, right? I really don't know how many styles are there on Zotero. I think you'll have to check Zotero and find out for yourself. But like I said, there are a lot of differences between EndNote Online and Zotero Online. Yeah. So Sangeeta, next question, please.
Yes. So the next question is that can I assign a paper to 2 groups?
Yes, of course, you can do that. Let's say there are 2 groups. I can actually show it to you right now. Let me go to EndNote Desktop, because it's easy. You can drag and drop. So let's select a paper. I'm selecting, let's say, this one. I'm going to drag this paper and I'm going to drop it to the first group, ABCD. This 4 should become 5 when I complete the process. I'm releasing the left click of my mouse. It has become 5. The second group is ACT-REC. This is ACTREC. This is one of the organizations in India. Right now there are, let's say, 7. Okay, this is a smart group. I'll not add it to this. Let's look at the third one, Clarivate. This is a simple group. There are 2 references. I'm picking up the same paper and I'm going to add it to Clarivate. This should become 3. There you go. So in front of you, I just added the same paper to 2 different groups, and it can happen without any problem. Yeah, because one paper could be related to more than one research area. You may have 2 different research areas, but the same paper could be relevant to both the research areas. So this process is allowed. You can do it. Yes, please. The next question.
Right. So the next question is, if I've saved PDF files of paper and renamed them, can I still save them in EndNote folder to collect them?
Yes, of course. Renaming does not change anything, because once it comes to EndNote, do you see this is EndNote library in front of you? Do you see the names of these files? No, you don't. You see author names. So what this is, see, I've been repeating, saying this thing again and again. EndNote is a reference management tool. It manages your references, which means EndNote goes through the paper. See, this is just a paper. It goes through the paper and it finds out who the author is, and it displays all the author names in this column. It finds out when this paper was added. So I have added these papers in the year 2020. Some of them were added in 2019. Some were added this year. So when was this paper added to the library? It goes to the paper and digs out the title and puts the title here in a very organized manner, right? Similarly, journal names, everything else. So this is why we call it a reference management tool, right? Renaming does not change anything. You will still see the same paper appearing in this list with all these details populated accordingly. You don't have to do anything. EndNote will do it for you. Yeah.
Right. So the next question is, can you please clarify on unfiled references?
Unfiled. Okay. I have spoken about this, but I'll repeat. See, very quickly, there are so many groups that you see right now, and I've shown you how to allocate different papers to different groups, right? These numbers are very small. See, 5, 7, 3, 2. If I were to add up all these are very few papers. So I have a total of 276 references in my library. So a few of them have been allocated to various groups, but the ones which could not be allocated to any group will be seen in unfiled. Right now, there are 224 papers which do not belong to any group. I can show you what happens. Okay, let me try something from here. For example, let me click on this one. Vaccination with sporozoites. Okay, let me click on this paper. Notice, please have a look at this number, 224. If I allocate one paper to any of the groups, this should be reduced by 1. This will become 223. So let me pick up this paper and allocate it to the very first group, ABCD. See, this group got increased by 1 and this number got decreased by 1. So unfiled will go on decreasing if you keep allocating papers to various groups. I think that is the ideal thing to do. In an ideal scenario, there should be almost no paper in unfiled, because all your papers, if they belong to certain groups, it becomes easier to find those papers, right? If I have, let's say if I want to find a paper which is related to glaciers, and if I have all the papers appearing in this group, I just need to click here and all the papers of glaciers will appear here, right here, right? But this was just an example. I have created this account just to show examples to people, which is why you see so many of unfiled papers here. But I think I've answered the question. Yes, please. The next one.
Right. So the next question is, if I have an Excel file of literature reviews, can it be imported into EndNote?
Well, Excel file can be imported, but there's a trick. You can attach it. You see this attachment sign? You see this attachment sign here? Here. You see this? You can actually attach it. I'll show you how to do that. Just give me a minute. Let me see, where is it gone? Okay, edit. There are certain views. Just give me a minute. Let me just select the view, correct view, and then I'll be able to show it to you. Okay, not this one. Anyways, what we can do is you can click on this, double click, and there you see the paper, right? I'm going to double click on a paper which does not have an attachment. Suppose this one, double click. So you can attach a file from here. This paper, you do not see an attachment sign here, right? If you follow the mouse, this is the place where attachment sign should appear. For example, this paper already has an attachment. This one has an attachment. There is a full text associated with this. Here, you are free to attach anything. You can attach an Excel, you can attach a presentation, you can attach a Word file, anything. Just click and it will, you can actually browse. You can go to your desktop and you can go to the location wherever that Excel is placed and you can attach it. That should not be a problem. Yeah, but it appears as an attachment. Okay, so what we'll do is I wanted to take a breather, so I stopped for questions. Now let me continue and maybe I'll come back to the remaining part of the questions a little later. So let's continue exploring EndNote Desktop. We've already seen a lot of features in EndNote Online. Now we're going to explore EndNote Desktop. And I've already shown you a couple of features here as well. Now, suppose you have a duplicate paper. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, now before going to duplicates, let me show you one more thing. When I double click on this paper, I get a lot of things here, right? Edit. Okay, when you go to edit, you will see all these options and you will see something known as a label, right? I've already labeled it as Tata Steel. Okay, let me not fiddle with it. Let me pick up another paper, this one, Spray Evolution. When I go to edit, let's see whether we have any label here. Ideally, there should be no label here. Okay, it's empty. Let's just say I want to create a duplicate. So I am going to do a simple Control C and Control V, right? So let me create a duplicate. So now, if you notice, there are two papers, Spray Evolution here and here. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is, although now I'm doing this on purpose, but this is a problem which arises on many occasions. I'll tell you how this problem arises. Suppose you're, scrolling through Google Scholar and you like a certain paper and you export it to your EndNote library. It comes in your EndNote library like this. The next time you go to, you're scrolling, let's say, Emerald's website, or if you go to, let's say, PubMed or any other website, and you're trying to find something on your own research area, you come across the same paper, but let's say you forget that this paper is already there in your EndNote library. You again import the same paper, this time from a different source. In the end, you will see that there are duplicates in your library. The idea is to find out whether there are any duplicates or not. Right now, I've created a duplicate. Just assume that I've got these two duplicates, these duplicate from different sources. So let me double click on this paper and let's go to edit. Now let's go to label. By the way, label is a very good option. You can actually do a lot of things with label. You can enter anything. You can, this is just for your reference. They could be, right now I have roughly 277 papers. There could be thousands of paper, references in my library. It becomes difficult for me to search for the relevant reference. So this label really helps me. Suppose I, have a friend who's also doing research in probably spray evolution, let's just say, and I can say for my friend. You can enter anything, good paper, bad paper, for my friend, or you can mention somebody's name, or you can mention anything at all. This is free text. You can enter anything and you can save. Let it save. Okay, done. Close it. Now, what I want to highlight is I have two papers. I really don't know where those two, just assume that I don't know where those two papers are located. But I want EndNote to dig out the two papers if there are any duplicates. So let's see what happens. Let's go to File, References, I think. Yes. Just give me a minute. Actually, they've recently there have been some changes incorporated. In fact, between yesterday and today, they have incorporated a lot of changes. So I see that a couple of options have been removed and they've been put in different places. I'm just trying to find out where those options are. Just give me a minute. Okay, it's not there. Okay, find duplicates. There it is. In the library, it says find duplicates. They've moved it here. Earlier, it was under file. Now they've moved it to library. Here it is, find duplicates. So let's click on find duplicates. It has found the duplicates and it also highlights the place where these two duplicates are different, right? Let me close it again and let me do this one more time. I'm going to go to library and let's click on find duplicates. It is going to find the duplicate papers and it is going to highlight what is the difference between these two duplicates, like this. These are the two duplicates and here is where the difference actually lies in the label for my friend, and here this is blank. So I can keep this record or I can keep this one. Whatever I want to keep, the other one gets deleted. So I want to keep this record which has a comment inserted in the label. So I'll keep this record. Obviously the other one will get deleted. So keep, and there you go. It's now back to 276, which was earlier 277. So now this is how you find duplicates and you can remove those duplicates. Okay. All right. The other good tool about good feature about EndNote Desktop is you can actually do an online search on EndNote. For example, here is, you can even find full text. First, let's do an online search and then I'll show you how to find full text. Okay, so let's do an online search. Let's go to PubMed. Click. Right now it is connecting to PubMed. Okay, it is displayed now. PubMed. Now, and although we are on EndNote, but now EndNote starts behaving like PubMed. It starts behaving like the PubMed platform, and I can conduct any search. For example, I can decide whether I want to search from the title. I have drop down here. I can even enter the PubMed ID, or I can enter anything else if I want. Okay, so this is the PubMed ID, or I can, let's just say, all fields. You can select anything at all. I'll go with title. So within the title should contain, let's say, virus. I'm sure there'll be a lot of papers where virus appears somewhere in the title on PubMed, right? Let's just hit search. I can give multiple queries, by the way, right? I can select various options. Let's just go with this little option and let's hit search. It is searching. Let's just see how many papers does it find. Okay, it has found 3,55,000 papers where virus appears somewhere within the title, and this is the result coming from PubMed. Now many people ask that why is this paper appearing right here, the first paper, and what is the criteria of selection? For example, why should this paper appear at the top and this paper should appear at number 2 position, right? What how do you what is the method of arrangement of these papers, right? Well, my simple answer is if you were to go to the PubMed platform and if you were to do the exact search, then in whatever manner the results are displayed on PubMed, the same process is followed on EndNote as well. So this is the same sequence which would appear on PubMed platform, and EndNote is displaying exactly the same sequence, right? Okay, so what you can do is you can actually create another group here very quickly, and you can allocate some papers from here. For example, I can select a few papers and I can allocate it to some of the groups here. So I can click on this, add the selected online to your local library. So you can click on this and there is an option to select these papers. So I can select and I can add. All right. Why is it not selecting? Okay, it is selecting. I don't want to select everything because EndNote, the desktop version, you have unlimited memory. So if I select this, all these papers are capable of getting imported to my EndNote library, but I really don't want to do that, right? So you can add these papers, and okay, this is how you add, and you can drag and drop. You can add them to any of these groups, right? So that was quite simple. Let's click on find full text. Okay, we have a group called virus here. Okay, there are 19 papers. Let's just select all the papers, select everything, and you can click on find full text. So one of the options here should be find full text, add new references, export, search for full text, search the web for full text documents. Now if I click on this, what EndNote is going to do is it is going to look at all these 19 papers one by one, and it will scan through the internet, right, provided there are no paywalls, and it will try and find out the full text of these papers from any open resources or from any repository, any open repository, right? Now what EndNote does is it basically knows what are the open resources available on the internet, which probably as a researcher you may not be aware of. So EndNote understands where are the open resources located, and it enters those and it tries to find out whether these papers are there or not. If it is there, it will fetch those papers and it will bring them and attach them here like this. You see this attachment sign? So this is where the full text is located. If you want, I can show you. So that is what find full text does. Remember, it will not bring in any full text from a subscribed journal. It will always bring in a full text from a free resource. Okay. Let's double click and see what we get. Okay, we have the full text paper right here in PDF. Let's click and see what we get here. Double click, open, and we should be able to see the full text here. Okay, there it is. Yeah, this is the full text. So this was just to show you that EndNote provides you with a full text, and this is where you can find that full text. Okay, back. All right, I see that we have roughly about 15 to 20 minutes remaining. We still have to cover, touch upon Web of Science as well. So I'll take another pause and see if there are any questions related to EndNote before we proceed. So any more questions on EndNote?
There are several questions. That was my other thing. How much time do you need for the other part of your presentation?
Maybe we could utilize about 10 to 15 minutes for Web of Science, and maybe another 5 to 7 minutes for the questions.
Then we would be late in terms of finishing the session.
Okay.
So
okay.
either we'll be able to do the Web of Science, or we'll be able to take a few questions. So you can decide how you would like to do that.
Let's take a few questions. People already have some questions, and I do not want those questions to go unanswered. So let's pick up a few questions. And let's say in another 4 to 5 minutes, we'll do a hard stop on EndNote and we'll switch to Web of Science.
All right.
Yeah.
So the next question is, can we make subgroups, and can EndNotes work with Google Docs?
I'm sorry, can EndNote? The second part is?
Can they be used with Google Documents, Google Docs?
Well, actually, it just depends on whether you how you attach it. I don't think Google Docs will work, because if you click on this, let's say you click on a particular paper which does not have an attachment, you have the attach file option here. So Google Docs is not going to work here. Yeah. As far as creation of subgroups is concerned, well, that is very much possible, and it is especially helpful if, let's say, you have an online book available with you with various chapters. So you create a group. So what you need to do is go here. You can go to groups, and you can create a group set, something known as a group set. So when you want to create a group, there are various ways. You can go to this icon and go to a group set, or you can even go here and you can do a right click. So create groups, right click from your mouse, create group, smart group, from groups, and then create a group set. If you notice, polar research is a group set with subgroups of glaciers, penguins, polar bears, and bears, right? I can show you one more time. Let's go here. Let's go to group set. So you can call it, you can give it any name. What do you want to call it? Let's say Sri Lanka, right? And within Sri Lanka, let's create a group. So this is a subgroup, right? Within Sri Lanka, you can say Colombo could be one group. You can create another group, and you can call it, maybe you can give it any other name. You can call it Jaffna, or you can give it any name. These are, although I'm using the name of cities here, but you can give it any name. The idea was to show you how to create a group set and how to create subgroups. This is especially helpful for books, book title, and then chapter 1, chapter 2, and so on. Yeah. Okay. The next question, please. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can we have the next question?
Sure. So the next question is, someone is saying that I want to shift from Mendeley to EndNote. Can we do that, and how?
Okay. Yeah. This is actually this is music to my ears, because somebody wants to shift from Mendeley to EndNote. Wow, this is exactly what our intention is. Well, the process is quite simple. What you need to do is you have to save your library. So within Mendeley, I don't really have Mendeley with me, so you can go to Mendeley within your account, and there should be an option of saving your library. For example, here on EndNote, if you go to File, here we can open our library. You can create a new library, or you can open an existing library, you can close a library, whatever, right? And we even give you the option of sharing your library. So within Mendeley, please, you have to save your library on your desktop somewhere. provided you have enough memory space on your desktop, or you can save it on any external memory device. Once you create that file, that backup, which is called a library, once it is there on your memory device, you can then open up an EndNote account, and you can go to new, and you can actually bring that library here. Yeah, so that should not be a problem at all. Besides, there are hundreds of videos on YouTube. In fact, I should have shown this to you earlier. This is the EndNote website. It's called www.endnote.com. It's a very simple and very intuitive website, and it's very easy to understand. Here you'll see the product details, and this is where you see the training. Go to training, and by the way, we have our own YouTube channel, so you can go there, and we also have video tutorials. This is, please go through this video tutorials. These are recorded videos which can teach you a lot of stuff which maybe I could not have spoken about because of we don't have much time. And then we also have some live trainings. These are all free trainings. You can register to a training which is suitable to your time zone, and you can choose a language that is suitable to you, because this is an international product. We have trainings being conducted in different languages, international languages, that is. So you can select a language of your choice and a timing that is friendly to you, and you can register for those trainings and attend you accordingly. Okay, and you can even view previously recorded webinars here. If you go here, we will ask you for your basic details like your name, where are you from, and your email address, etc. And after that, we will grant you permission to see the recording of our webinars. Besides, you can go to YouTube and you type EndNote and then the remaining part of your query. For example, EndNote, and then for example, exporting records to your desktop, or maybe importing records from Mendeley. You can do anything and you'll get lots of videos. Okay, in the interest of time, can we move to Web of Science?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay, great. So here we are. This is Web of Science, and like I said, this is a platform which is now completely revamped, and it's more intuitive and gives you results in a very short span of time. Now, I'm sure my colleague Subhashri in her previous session on Web of Science would have already explained all of this to you. And for people who already are familiar with this, it may sound as a repetition, but let me give you a quick refresher on Web of Science. The first step would be to search on the basis of a database. Now, you will notice one unique thing about Web of Science, and that is that it is full of drop-downs. So it's about time that you get friendly with these drop-downs. You'll see lots of arrows, small little arrows. These are nothing but drop-downs. Make sure that you select this. Even if you do not understand what the drop-down is, just blindly click. And obviously the drop-down is going to give you some meaningful information, right? Okay, so the very first drop-down that I see here is the Web of Science code collection. What exactly is this? Let's find out. Okay, I see the Web of Science code collection, and a couple of these are other databases arranged alphabetically, right? As you scroll, you will see that there's a summary that runs on the right hand side. So if you want to conduct your search from the Web of Science code collection, you might want to know what it is in the first place. Okay, no problem. So go here and you can, in a very short span of time, maybe in a few lines, we are trying to explain what this database is. So you can select any database of your choice and you can conduct a search, or you can go with all databases, right? Let's go with Web of Science code collection because this is the most comprehensive database. See, we are in the business of indexing journals. Don't ever forget that. But apart from that, we also index, apart from journals, we index books as well as conference proceedings. Okay, so these journals are not published by us. These journals come from various publishers, well-known publishers globally. We have tie-ups with more than 11,000 publishers globally, Emerald being one of them, right? Okay, so let's click on this. The next step is editions. Now, these drop downs are there for a purpose. They help you in limiting your search. See, when you go to Google and if you type a keyword like engine, right? Engine is a very simple keyword. Let's use the word engine and hit search. Look at this. Look at the number of results. Such a huge number of results, right? But if you are a researcher who's working on the topic of engine, now this is Google. You can even go to Google Scholar if you want, but the results will not be much different. Does this number have any meaning for you? Can you read through so many papers is my question. Answer is obviously no. Many people argue that Google Scholar is better because it gives you larger number of results. See, larger number of results is not helping me in any way because I cannot read so many papers, right, as a researcher. So this is just a number at the end of the day for me. It's not helping me in any way. On Web of Science, here we are. I can type the keyword engine, but even before I type, these drop downs help me a lot. Why? Because I do not want to end up in a situation like this. I do not want to encounter a number like this. I want to get to a smaller number, right? And these drop downs help you in limiting your number of results. So make sure to use as many drop downs as possible. I've already selected one. Now let's select this one, editions. What do we see here? Suppose I'm very new to Web of Science. I do not understand what it is. So there's a drop down, just click. Okay, I see Arts and Humanities Citation Index. Books. Again, you see two indexes for books. There's a difference. One is for sciences, the other one is for social science and humanities. You see two indexes for conference proceedings. One is for sciences, the other one is for social science and humanities. Then you see all these options, right? This also gives you the flexibility to uncheck. Suppose I'm a science student, I can leave out what I do not want. So even before I enter any keyword, I have the flexibility of reducing the number of results. I want to use engine as a keyword, but engine is a very common word which could be, which could give me results from any subject in social sciences. I will get a lot of results from arts and humanities for the word engine, right? So it is better to uncheck what is not required, and then I can use engine. Look at this, 1,24,000. But even this number is fairly large. You cannot go through so many papers as a researcher. So we give you other options. For example, I click here. You can use these operators and or and not, and you can select anything. Again, there's a drop down here. You can select anything. Right now, author is selected by default. You can change it. You can use a secondary keyword. For example, a topic. Topic or keyword is the same thing. I can use biofuel, and let me see what I get. Biofuel engine, 2,597 results, right? Or I can use diesel, and let's see what we get. 26,000. So that is the beauty of Web of Science. It is always my recommendation to please use your primary keyword should be as simple as possible. The reason being, if I use this primary keyword as simple, I'll get a large number of results. I got more than 1 lakh results, right? Now, from those 1 lakh results, I can play around. I can use different keywords like biofuels, like diesel, or I could use petrol, or I can use any other thing. I can even use web search engine, right? And I can play around with the secondary keyword and I'll get different results, right? It's like fishing. When you cast a huge net, you catch a lot of fish, but when you examine those fish, you just keep on throwing back the fish that you do not want. You throw them back into the water, right? This is the same thing. I'm casting a huge net with a simple keyword, and then I can be selective. I can use different keywords and I can be selective in my search. Okay. The other thing I wanted to highlight very quickly on Web of Science platform is, in cases where you see a large number, these numbers actually have a very good purpose. You can even make use of these large set of results by analyzing. This is a good feature. I have another 4 minutes. Very quickly, I'll cover this. You click on Analyze. And when you want to click on Analyze, make sure that this number is as large as possible. So it is always recommended to use very simple keywords to get large numbers. Then you click on Analyze. Now the keyword I had used was engine. Don't forget. I'm getting 1,24,000 results. Now frame a question in your mind related to engine and you'll get your answer. For example, I want to find out which are the top 10 organizations in the world that are doing research on engine. Top 10 organizations related to engine. Okay, so go to the drop down. Organizations or affiliations is the same thing. Click and your answer is displayed. Here is your answer. University of California, they have published more than 2,000 papers on engine, right? If you want, here's a shortcut key. You can directly look at these 2,100 papers by clicking on view records. Similarly, you can view other papers from other institutions. These are top 10. By the way, this is again, there's another drop down here. Visualization is a tree map. This colorful chart is called a tree map. You can change it to another option. It's called bar graph, bar chart. So the same information is available in a bar chart. This was the first drop down, visualization. The second drop down is number of results. Again, a drop down, it's displaying top 10. I can change it to top 5, or I can change it to top 25 organizations. Here we are. The same result. This time we are displaying top 25. You can download this at any stage. If you download, it will be downloaded as a JPG file and you can use it anywhere in your presentation or anywhere else. Yeah. Okay. I like to always go with top 10. Scroll down and you will see the list. This is the same list, same institution, same result. The only difference is here you can go up from top 10, you can go up to top 500 organizations. Okay. And you can do a mix and match. For example, this list enables you to select multiple organizations and view them together. So you can select and you can view them together. This basically means you're adding up these many papers together and it will be shown to you as one result. Okay. So this is the benefit of the list. The other benefit could be that you can create a presentation slide. Web of Science helps. Now, as a researcher, I'm sure all of you are required to create presentations. We can help you in creating those slides. Just go to download. And here you see a notepad. Do not attempt to read the notepad. Just do what we do most of the time. That is copy paste. So you're just copying this and pasting it on a blank Excel. Let me create a blank Excel. So here's a blank Excel. Where's the Excel? Okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. This is the Excel. And just remove the last 2 rows. And that is the Excel. And in order to create a presentation chart, the first step is to get away all the information on an Excel. It took me less than a minute to get this information on Excel. And after this, you can use the Excel tools to create a chart of your liking. You can create a bar chart, a pie chart. You can beautify the chart as much as you want. You can change the title of the chart. You can call it top 10 organizations and so on, right? We leave that to you. So this was about organizations, and you can switch to, you can maybe find out which are the top 10 funding agencies on engines. Click on funding agencies. These are the top 10 funding agencies. Similarly, you can find out which are the top 10 journals that publish research on engines. Click on publication titles and you get your answer. These are the top 10 journals on engines. If you're a researcher who's working on this field, maybe these journals can help you in getting good information, and maybe in one day you might even want to publish in these journals, right? You can replace the keyword engine by a keyword of your choice, which is related to your research area, and you can make use of this analyze option. There are tons of other things on Web of Science which I could not speak about because of paucity of time, but please explore this platform and think of subscribing. So with that, I would like to end my session here and I hand it back to you. Thank you. Sangeeta, it's back to you.
Yes, just one moment.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to invite Ms. Piumali, please.
It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the Emerald Publishing, Gulf Medical University and Faculty of Management Studies of the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the main speaker of the session, Mr. Vishav Sharma, Regional Solution Consultant from the Clarivate Analytics, Web of Science. It was indeed an insightful session. At the outset, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the Faculty of Management Studies of the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, headed by Professor Athula Gnanapala. Further, I would like to express my special gratitude to Professor Aslan, Chairman and all the other members of the Research and Publication Unit of the Faculty of Management Studies for their unconditional support. I would also like to express our sense of obligations to regional coordinators for their kind guidance for this event, and also in helping us in strengthening various mechanisms. In particular, the support rendered by Dr. Jayantha N, Dewasiri, Senior Lecturer, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, Ms. Sangeeta Menon, Publishing Relationship Manager, Emerald Publishing, Professor Sudhir, Rana, Gulf Medical University, and Professor Kasif Said, Gift University, Pakistan. In fact, they supported a lot in making this program a great success. Then, with the gratitude, let me also thank Ms. Disha Lakhanpal, Regional Marketing Manager, Emerald Publishing Group for the support rendered in making this program a great success. Then, with a great respect, I would like to thank all the distinguished officials from Emerald Publishing, Gulf Medical University, and the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Finally, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the audience, all the senior professors, senior academics, visiting faculty, researchers, industry participants, partner university representatives, research students, media presenters, including Sunday Observer and Sunday Times for their active participation. Thank you all again.
So thank you very much for listening
today. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes,
Clarivate
Analytics just informed that so they will grant 20% discount for the EndNote for the participants of the impactful writing impactful research program. So we will share the details when we are sharing the certificates. So have a nice day. We will meet up again on next Thursday.
That's a wonderful news, Dr. Jayantha, and it was a very wonderful session indeed. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you next Thursday.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.